Hello YouTube, welcome back to Assetto Corsa, and today I'm going to take out a car that I've taken out a very long time ago. We're going to be having a look at the Honda NSX 1990. We're going to make a mention of the Honda NSX 1997, and we're going to take a look at the Honda NSX-R 1992. We're going to start with the NSX. And first thing to mention about all these cars is they're all North American variants, so you may notice a few things that maybe you wouldn't see on a Japanese version or a European version or something like that. This is something that I had to look into quite a bit because there's a lot of things there that are minute things that are different in these different cars, so I had to take a look into it. So if you guys think that, hang on a minute, I've seen an NSX in real life and it doesn't have this little bit here, or it doesn't have that little bit there, or it does have something that's not here, most likely you're looking at a different version or a different variant of the same version or something like that. Anyway, stop blabbering on, let's get on with it. 1,350 kilos, it's a supercar and it weighs as much as you'd expect from a car of this era. In fact, it weighs lighter than the sports cars and the supercars of the era. 270 brake horsepower at 7,300 RPM with VTEC kicking in around 4,500. 285 Newton meters of torque at 5,500 RPM, which means that the 0 to 60 time on this car is 5.7 seconds. That's pretty impressive. 5.7 seconds, nice to drive, and that means 0 to 100 also in 13.1 seconds and a top speed of 170 miles an hour. You may notice that last time we reviewed this, the specs were slightly different. The 0 to 60 was somewhere around the 5-second mark. The top speed was 177 miles an hour, and the brake horsepower was 276. I still think there's supposed to be 276 bhp on this, but like I said, North American variant, it might be slightly different. I don't recall it being the North American variant last time this was being made, so there we go. There may be slight difference in it, and I think those are the slight differences coming about. Mid-engine rear-wheel drive, as you expect from all the best supercars. NSX, interestingly enough, means new sports car experiment. That's literally all the NSX means, which is quite interesting because you'd think that a name like that, the NSX, it became so popular, so it became like a cultural icon. But all it means is new sports car experiment. Not a very inspiring name at all. But hey, it worked. The power plant is a V6 3-litre. Naturally it has VTEC, as I said. Quite light with an aluminium head and block, and naturally due to the configuration of the car, it's transversely mounted. It has a 3-stage variable volume intake, titanium connecting rods, which is a world first for a road car, 5 gears and a limited slip diff. What else about the car? Basic specs. I'm just thinking of these basic specs that to get out of the way. Aluminium double wishbone suspension, lots and lots of wobbling around there, and generally a lot of the weight is very nicely sprung, the car, so it does mean that the car will be very nice to drive. Yokohama tires come as standard, and it is tested and assisted in development by none other than Ayrton Senna, so this is, as the title suggests, the legacy of Ayrton Senna. This car was one of those cars that, you know, when you have a race driver test a car, especially one of someone like Senna's caliber, you know that the car has to be brilliant. I mean, just take a look at the Ferrari FXX that was tested and helped in development by Michael Schumacher. Just look at what a beautiful car that is. And also have a look at the Ferrari 360 Challenge Stradale as well. That's a beautiful car, again tested with and helped in development by Michael Schumacher. You had Jenson Button and Lewis Hamilton, I think, helping on development of the McLaren 12C a bit, which is quite good as well. And I think the P1 as well with Jenson Button. I don't know if Alonso helped on that, but there is this idea that these supercars, these top-end cars, when they have help of a race driver developing them, you end up with something a little bit special. And that's exactly what we've got here. Now, I'm going to quickly also go through the NSX NA2, the North American 2 version, or the Mark II, 1997, which was a performance updated one. It was heavier, It was 30 kilograms heavy at 1,380. However, it had a 3.2 litre V6. It managed to bore out some extra displacement on that one. 290 bhp, 305 newton meters of torque, 6 gears in manual, and 0 to 60 was in 5 seconds. It had bigger wheels and brakes and wider rear tires, and it does look different when you actually take it out for a spin. So this car that I'm driving right now will look different to the NSX S1 is what it comes as on this, and that will look different to the NSX-R. So they all look different, which is really nice. Mainly you can see it in the wheels. I mean, I really like the alloy wheels of the 1987 version. In fact, I should have probably taken that out for a spin instead. I might do that. I might just go take that out for a spin. Not going to show you guys, just, you know, for me, just have a bit of fun. I think I'm allowed to have some fun. Mod info. It comes in 4 variants. Like I said, we've mentioned 3. The 4th variant is a fictional upgrade of the NSX-R, and it's 174 meg download and 350 meg installed, made by someone. We had this joke last time with my 2 colleagues. Someone as in S-O-M-E and the number 1. Physics by David Dominguez, and sounds by Nevercrash, Modec, and then Surefoot. So you've got a very good sound range here as well. We all know these names. They're very good at making sounds. This does sound really, really good. It sounds a lot better than it did before, and we'll talk about why and how and all that kind of stuff afterwards. Like I said, last time I checked this car out was January 2015. I think it was episode 28, and this is episode 95 now. So yeah, it's been 67 episodes since I actually checked that car out. That's a lot. 67 weeks. Wow, just thinking about that, that's been a long time. Anyway, modeling and texturing on this car is superb, as is, you know, the sounds are absolutely brilliant as well. We're going to talk more about this when we get to the NSX-R, I think. I'm just going to cover up just things in basic here that you might want to see or know. The physics and force feedback, that's one thing that's important on each car to be done separately. Force feedback on both cars has to be reduced. I did it already on this car. You'll see me do it on the NSX-R. Physics on this car, very nice to drive. It feels very comfortable in many ways. I mean, I know the car in real life is comfortable, but what I mean by that, I mean it handles bumps quite naturally. It's definitely a car designed for agility and cornering performance, as opposed to power and, you know, just speed and power and raw acceleration or anything like that. But it does feel like a supercar for someone who wants to enjoy supercars but doesn't want to have to push a car too hard to get some fun out of it. It's a very easy car to drive, very nice to drive, and like I said, it seems to handle the bumps and everything very, very nicely, which means that you're less prone to getting snap oversteer, snap understeer, things like that, just as you lose grip as you're going into corners and all those kinds of things, which is absolutely brilliant. One thing I've got to note about both cars, and I'm just going to note that now, is both of them are on V5 tyres, which is one of its disappointments, but I hope that gets updated. This is actually a 1.0 beta that I'm testing, so, you know, I'm sure it's going to be updated. What else about this car? I think there isn't much more about this car. I mean, I've come up to the end of the lap already. 9 minutes has just flown by here. And we're going to be switching over to the NSX-R, and there I'll talk about the NSX-R itself, but I'll also talk more about the actual, what I think my observations of this car, the 1997 model, and the NSX-R that I'll be driving at that point in time. 9 minutes 11, not a very fast lap, or 9 minutes 12 almost, but I'm just going to pull over here and I'll switch over to the NSX-R in a few seconds. Thing is, I'm not sure why, but I always pull over there. Even in Gran Turismo, when I used to play Gran Turismo, I used to pull over on that corner. I just think it's a good corner to pull over in. But now we're in the NSX-R, and the first thing you're going to notice is the dials are different. They're yellow, they're not red anymore, and the steering wheel's different. It's now a Momo steering wheel. If you look in the car, you'll also see there are Recaro bucket seats. And as you can see, there you go, I've put my force feedback down to 80%. But yes, there are Recaro bucket seats, so that's different. The viewpoint is slightly different. I seem to be sitting a little bit closer to the car as standard. Of course, you can move them around where you want, so that's not really an issue. That's an absolute non-issue. But the NSX-R NA, again, North America, 1992. It's the first Type R made. It wasn't called the NSX Type R, just to make that clear. The NSX-R is its official name, but the R from the Type R comes from this car. That's exactly where it comes from. I'm not trying to rhyme that. That just sounds like a crime. 1,270 kilos. How did they lose so much weight from 1,350 to 1,270? Well, they've stripped out the cabin. There's no air conditioning, there's no power windows, there's no power steering, there's no audio system, etc, etc. They've put a new steering wheel in. You've got the Recaro seats, like I mentioned. You've got titanium gear knob. Anything that they could lighten up inside the cabin, they did. Which then is going to pose a question that I'll be coming to in a moment. As you can see, I was trying 6 gear there. It doesn't have 6 gears, still has 5 gears, but it does have the same 3-litre V6 tuned to 280 bhp at 7,300 rpm, much stiffer suspension, which means that the car is going to drive very, very differently, and 290 newton meters of torque at 6,500 rpm, which is different. It's about another 1,000 rpm up on what it was before. Same top speed, but the acceleration is now down to 5 seconds, which puts it similar to the upgraded power plant of the 1997 model. So naturally, the NSX-R that was made, I think, in 2002 then, which would have been upgraded, facelifted and upgraded, I think had 4.5 seconds 0 to 60, or something like that, out of that 3.2 litre engine. I think this version had 4.8 seconds when it put that 3.2 litre power plant in it. So there you go, an extra bit of trivia. That car unfortunately is not in Assetto Corsa at the moment. I would have liked that one in, but there we go. That's all the car information for both cars. Let's actually get onto the observations properly. Like I said, the modelling is really, really good. One thing that I do have to know is I think the normal NSX, and I don't know about this one, I haven't really checked it properly, but it looked like it was floating a little too high. I think this one's okay, but the normal NSX looks like it's a bit too high, so there's a massive gap between the actual wheel arch, or the wheel well, or whatever you guys call it, and the actual tyre. It looks like there's a gap that's just way too big, whilst on this one it looks like it's a lot lower. I think maybe that's a slight bug. I think that needs to be sorted out. Apart from that, modelling is great. It doesn't have any LODs though, so that's a downside. Does mean it can be quite intensive on graphics, particularly if you're playing multiplayer, so do be aware of that. And yeah, you don't want that to mess you guys up. But you know, that's how it is. It will eventually have those LODs. I can't wait until it does, because I think this will be a nice car to be racing in multiplayer. Slight differences on the R, like I mentioned, but like I said, there's so many different versions of this car, you really don't know which is which. I saw a version of this NSX-R that had red stitching, and I would have really liked to see that version in game. And compared to what it was as well, it's not. They don't have that strange textured background on there anymore on the dials, which really made it difficult to see anything. So there you go. You know, they've made some differences, and I think the differences are definitely for the better. Especially the shine on the cars as well. It's not as shiny as it used to be. It's the reflections are a lot better, the shadows are a lot better, the bump mapping's a lot better. Everything in general is a lot better. What I haven't noticed though is there doesn't seem to be any shadows or anything on the windscreen. Or at least I can't see any shadows on the windscreen, or any reflection on the windscreen. That I think has to be available in both cars for it to be, you know, a top modded car. I'm trying to be picky here, but I've got to be picky, and you know, I think that would make this car really, really nice. It just want to add that little extra bit. It's also missing the dashboard camera. Naturally, it hasn't been updated yet, so the dashboard camera has to come in as well for it to be rated a top car. Sounds are absolutely superb. Before, the sounds were really good, but they had a lot of trebling. There wasn't that much bass available in that. Of course, there wasn't the F mod back then, I don't think. We didn't have F mod systems. Now we've got this. It sounds a lot more growly, it sounds a lot more bassy, but it still sounds like a V6. It sounds good. It's probably the most authentic sounding car I've heard from a mod that's not a race car. I think this is probably the most authentic sounding one. Then again, I suppose the Koenigsegg is possible. There's a contender there. There are actually a lot of cars that are contenders, but this is possibly the one of the absolute top ones. The exhaust note sounds absolutely bang on right. So it was really, really good. It was enjoyable to drive. I drove it for a long, long time after this recording session at Lake Louise. It was just so much fun to drive there. The physics and force feedback on this car, again, you saw me drop the force feedback, but it's a charm to drive. Both cars are charms to drive, barring the fact there's no V7 tyres. Great fun, lots of grip where you need it. The R feels a lot more smoother, it feels more refined to drive, and it provides more balanced torque as you rev up through the rev range, and even the power. It's because it was a refined engine. It's got more, fully balanced pistons, con rods, crankshaft. Everything was refined, and you can feel it. You can feel it when you're driving it. On the other hand, because this car's got stiffer suspension, I think 100% stiffer suspension, it's a lot more prone to minor upsets. It's a lot more prone to minor upsets, so you do need to be a little bit more working on the wheel. It feels completely different to the other car, because the other car feels refined, comfortable, easy taking the bumps and everything. This car feels more agile, alive, squirrely, wanting to be constantly pushed further and further. And that's what I find on this car. I do like this car, and I do like the other car. I like both. Overall, I'm going to give this 9 out of 10. The reason I'm giving it 9 out of 10 and not 10 out of 10, despite loving the car so much, is they need to fix the LODs, they need to put V7 tyres on it, and they need to put the reflections on the windscreen. That's about it. Hey, can I see red stitching there? I'm just looking on the side. I think I see a little bit of red stitching. I don't know. Maybe in the sunlight, I think I might have seen a little bit of red stitching. Huh. Possibly not. I don't know. Either way, 9 out of 10. It just needs a few things to be changed. Some people say it's a little bit strange on turning as well. I think it was fairly okay on turning. I quite liked it. It's very, very enjoyable to drive. Definitely worth a download. Download links will be in the description box below, and I think download it even before it's updated. Enjoy it, get used to the car, then wait for it to be updated, and once it's updated, download it again, get the updated version, and enjoy it all over again, because I think it's going to be so fun. It's going to be one of those cars that I think Assetto Corsa are going to snap up. Kunos have to snap it up, because it is that good a car. And just take this and pay the guy. Just pay them. Because that's exactly what they deserve. This is an absolutely brilliant car, as I almost blow the engine. At least that works. But yeah, I'm going to end the video here. Thank you very much for watching. Please remember to hit the like button if you like this video. Subscribe to our channel for more videos on Assetto Corsa. And leave a comment in the comments box below. Like I said, pick up this car. And from next week, it's the Japanese Dream Pack, or whatever it's called. I'm going to definitely be reviewing that for the next few weeks. I hope to see you guys then.